So as AP exams, final exams come up, a lot of high schoolers tends to feel very stressed out. And there was a very alarming statistics that say over 75% of students, high schoolers, are extremely stressed. And then 48% are like dealing with the daily stress that is too much. They say the stress is too much. That is very alarming, right? That is a very alarming topic. So, and I've talked to a lot of the students that I mentor and stuff, and most of them say the study content, that's fine. They have all the study materials, they have like the guidebooks, they have all those materials that they need. But the actual problem they have with is the problem is managing the stress. So I have made this graph real quick, I want to show, and I'll post it in the WhatsApp group as well. So let's look at the problem real quick, okay? And this is hard to see, but I'll do my best. So these are the focus that they're struggling with, right? Stress, overwhelm, the competition that they're with other students and their peers, and which all creates burnout, right? The stress of so many exams and the stress of having to do well, right? The overwhelm from having to study all these things and managing and balancing their social life, academic life with everything else. And what does this create? This ultimately will create them to burn out. They might study well, they might do everything that's needed, but it's gonna start to creep in, right? They might study 8 hours. I had a student who'd go to the library in the morning and come home at night. That's it. That's all he did. He didn't take any breaks. And the next day he would retain nothing, no information. And this happens a lot. People, students are just locked in their room. They're studying, but actually not, because they're just overwhelming their brain. So like teaching them how to study in chunks. And that's what I really do. I focus on the inner blocks. And I'll post, this is hard to see, but essentially there's three things I focus on. One is the regulating the nervous system. No one teaches that. No one teaches that to the students. The teachers, their tutors, they're just focused on the study content, right? They're just focusing, okay, what is the definition of this? What is the math formula? What's the statistics formula for all AP exam formulas, whatever? That's what they're focused on, the study concept. But what about the inner work that they need to change their mindset, right? To how do I regulate myself when I'm stressed out, when I'm overwhelmed? So that's what I teach. I would teach them to regulate the nervous system through various methods. And then I also teach them how to be positive. A lot of students, they're stressed out about the end outcome. They're like, oh, I have to get an A or I will fail, or I have to get this good mark or I will fail, right? So that's also what creates procrastination. If you go to YouTube right now and you just type ways to prevent procrastination, there's gonna be so many videos. There's gonna be like, do the Pomodoro method, do this, study in the morning, blah blah blah. Those are all great. But a student who in the back of their mind is thinking, oh, I'm not gonna pass this exam, why study, right? That's their procrastination. But if someone comes in and says, no, you're capable, you can pass this, you need a perfect 100, you can still get a 95 or 93 to pass, that's good. To ace it, that's great, right? A lot of students will procrastinate on their like essays, final essays, final paper, until the last minute. Why? Because it's not just procrastination, it's not they're lazy, it's just there's something in the back of their mind. They're like, oh, I have to be a perfectionist, I have to do well, so they procrastinate until last minute, and then they stress out and like turn in very haphazard work. We see it in college applications too, right? I mean, even for me, when I was in high school and dealing with the stress and all the AP exams that were wrong, I've connected with that, right? So I can relate to what the students are going through, which the parents can. Oftentimes, the parents get very frustrated and start yelling at their student for being lazy, for procrastinating, and that creates even more negativity. So me as like a third party, as a coach, I can mentor the students to regulate themselves. And then lastly, staying focused and not getting overwhelmed. And that can, like, Islam is so perfect for that. Islam teaches us how to stay focused. Islam teaches us, giving us practical steps to focus on just the efforts and let the outcome be with Allah, right? So that's what I ground my mentoring in, my coaching and my inner work in. So like creating these habits for the students through prayer, through dua, through dhikr, that will help them to have this grounding, to not get overwhelmed, to be able to regulate their inner nervous system, right, when they feel overwhelmed or stressed, and inshallah they will do well. Yeah, that's my focus. I'll send this diagram that I created in the group chat as well, but I will say this: students right now, there's still tons of pressure for them. Over 75 of high schoolers say they're stressed, and about 50 are saying that the daily stress is too much for them to bear. Yeah, this is not about study content, it's not about getting them another tutor, it's not about more tutoring, it's not about more buying them study guides and whatnot. No, it's about helping them with their inner work, right? That's what I do as a coach. I'm helping them to regulate themselves, having someone who listens to them, just says, okay, what do I need to do to succeed? Yes, I have all these exams, but how can I regulate myself? How can I not be overwhelmed? How can I have a daily spiritual practice that helps me stay aligned and see the success at the end? So, inshallah, that's what I help with. If you have any questions, DM me. I would be happy to coach your student, coach your high schooler to ace their AP exams, to ace their final exams, inshallah, and see them succeed. That's what I care about. I've been in high school. I went to a very competitive high school, where AP exams, SAT, ACT scores was like the focus. And inshallah, I succeeded out of it. So I know the practices. So inshallah, let me help your student to succeed as well. All right. Assalamu alaikum.